It's 8 a.m. Time to train the puppy. So, something that I want to talk about is the difference between a dog that is bred for a specific task, and yes, this one is soaking wet because she likes to play in the water trough, and now we're shivering because we're cold from playing in the water trough. Yep. We're starting to figure out that the smell is important. So, when we have dogs that are bred for something, they tend to pick up on it really fast. Yesterday, the video that I posted last night was the first time that we introduced the odor. She's figured out, yes, good. I'm looking for an actual sniff, not just a pass by with the nose. And so for the next couple days, because this is brand new, I'm gonna make her work for her food. So she'll have to actually smell the food, or smell the odor to get the food. Because I want her to put two and two together that, yes, that smell means good things are coming. I thought about sniffing it. Yes, good girl. So we're starting to sniff the odor, and we're putting two and two together. So what's happening here psychologically is that this puppy is learning that every time she smells this smell, she's going to get a little bit of food. And these are defrosted this time, so this odor is a little bit stronger. And so for the first couple days, this is the only way we get food. I'll feed her a whole meal doing this. Yes, good girl, good girl. And she'll start to learn that this smell is super, super important. So let's talk about using off-color breeds. Like if you're using a German Shepherd, or you're using a Doberman, or another herding or working breed as opposed to a nose breed. See, this one's a nose breed. She's already figuring it out. She's like, oh, okay, that smell. Every time I smell that, I get a handful of food shoved in my face. So there we go. It's clicking. 10 weeks old. This is what we want for a diabetic alert dog. But if you're using an off-color breed, like a herding bred dog, or a dog that doesn't necessarily have the drive to use the nose, then what we're looking for in that is you're going to be doing a lot more work with that puppy, as opposed to like one like this where she's just picking it up. She's like, oh, okay, two and two together. I smell the thing, I get the food, and this is how we survive. With a herding bred dog, you're going to have to continue this pattern of this is how you get fed for a pretty significant amount of time. Yes, good girl. Because we have to really ingrain in them for something that they're not bred for. So these golden retrievers, even though this one is a miniature golden, they're kind of a designer breed. They're bred in with some Cocker Spaniel. I don't have a problem. I'm not opposed to crossbred dogs when they're similar drives. So these are both hunting dogs. It's a reason that I like Labradoodles and Golden Doodles more so than like, say, for instance, the Shepadoodles and things like that, because we have conflicting drives there. We have a poodle is a hunting breed. They're bred for a lot of the same things that your golden retrievers and Labradors do. Look, she's seeking it out now. There we go. That's what we want. I don't know if you saw that. She stretched her little head out there. And even when we have Shepherds and Border Collies and Aussies and things like that, that are bred from lines that excelled in nose work, or they have parents that are titled in nose work, they're not going to have the generations upon generations of breeding selected for their ability to use their nose. Whereas Cocker Spaniels and Golden Retrievers have that. And so this is something we're tapping into, like an innate instinct here. Yes, good girl. Good girl. And so we're going to see a little bit better progress and more dedication to the odor. Whereas what I've found in my years of working with diabetic alert dogs of different breed varieties and things like that, is that I find that these guys get very loyal to the odor source, to the point that they're very, very little prompting needed, and they eventually they'll start alerting naturally, very reliably. Where what I've seen happen with some of the herding breeds, even like German Shepherds that came from working dog lines that had lots of nose work titles. They have fantastic noses. It's the want to do it and the drive to do it. To this dog, there is no greater joy in the world than sniffing, using the nose. And so when we make that her job, she's like, absolutely, I'll do that. And so now what we're starting to see is she's figuring out that, okay, it's something in this canister. I don't think she's quite put 2 and 2 together that it's the odor that we're looking for just yet. So she's been touching it with her nose, and she just licked it a minute ago. And I want to see her actually sniffing. One of the kids is running through. There we go. We got a good sniff. So when you're doing this at home, it's important that you're not rewarding just a nose boop. There we go. Good girl. And that you're not rewarding licking the canister, because we don't want the dog searching for the canister. We want the dog searching for the odor that's in the canister. So eventually we'll proof out the canister. Good girl. You dropped it. And there goes another kid coming by to distract her. All right, come back over there. So see, she kind of just nose booped it, kind of nudged it there for a second. We're getting distracted now. She's going, wait, what was I doing a minute ago that was making this work? So I want actual sniffing. Yes, good girl. And we may be at the end of our attention span right now. We are working with a 10-week-old puppy. Good girl. Good girl. So we're not gonna overwork her. I'm gonna go ahead and let her finish up her breakfast here. And we'll do this again this evening. Yep, and there's a kid over there distracting you, huh? Also, look at Rockstar Delta back there on her dog bed being a good girl. She stayed on her bed this whole time, even though I've been feeding a puppy. Yep, I'll lick all the crumbs off my hand. Good girl. And so now we can start a little bit of obedience with her. Can you find that? Oh, come here. She's still figuring out the leash. She's not very happy about it right now. What's this? I'm interested in that. Let's try a piece of lamb lung. What's this? Ooh, good stuffs. Good stuffs. Sit. Can you sit? Sit. Yes, good girl. She's like, I don't know about this. Oh, there we go. Good girl. You're not sure about the lamb lung? We'll find a treat she likes. I got some soft, chewy treats in there. Here you go, Delta. You can have it. Delta's like, yes, please. Yes, please. So the biggest thing that we're working on at this age is odor imprint. I start patterning some obedience stuff on them at this age. And so we'll pattern little things like sit, and we'll do what I call a kindergarten stay. We work on just being able to walk around on leash, following the leash where it goes, not being able to go any farther than the leash. So we've got her on a little thin slip lead. Thin is important. You don't want the big giant ones that are as big around as my thumb. This one is, I think it's a 3/8 is the size of it. I could be wrong on that. But we want a thin little slip lead for little puppies. And this one has a stopper on it so it can't get huge and fall off of her head. So that's nice. And what we'll do here is we're just working on, I'm here, and I may do some little things like toss some food out, get her kind of out and exploring. And if she hits the end of this leash, I'm going to give it a little tug and teach her that that's as far as you can go. You don't get to go any farther than your leash. And so we pattern that really young when they're little like this. Because some of the bigger dogs that we work with, they start out this size when they're 8 weeks old, and within a month and a half to 2 months, they're like 50 pounds. So when they're 50 pounds and they're tugging on the leash, it's a whole lot different than when they're, 8 pounds and tugging on the leash. So you have such a good temperament. She just wants to hide under my legs, which is where she's going to spend the majority of her time as a service dog. So the thing people don't realize about service dogs is, yes, they work a lot, but they lay and be still a lot too. Because when we go into the doctor's office, or we go in to go and meet with somebody, when we have work to do, things like that. The dog's job is going to be to hang out at a desk somewhere, or to hang out in a corner out of the way. When we go in a doctor's office, I teach them to find a corner that's out of the way of the door and put your dog in a downstay in the corner. That way they can get comfy, they can learn that their job right now is to be still, be quiet, and be out of the way, but accessible if needed. And that is the majority of a service dog's task. So when we're sitting in a waiting room with the dog, where do we want them? We want them right here at our feet. Now, obviously, some of you guys have really large dogs, really long-legged dogs, things like that. Spasti is very long-legged, and so when he goes places with me, I don't ask him to lay under my feet because I'm very short-legged and I don't want to trip over him. And so I'll put him directly in front of me. But again, in that downstay. Let's try bringing the odor back out. Yes, good girl. So once she gets the hang of this, and she starts sniffing on the odor, which the way that she's progressing right now, I'm expecting within a couple of days, I'll start hiding it on my body, because we want her to know that this odor source comes from the body. It's like, I don't know. No, we've lost interest. So when we lose interest, we take it away. We don't want to force the dog to keep going if they're done with it. So good girl. But anyways, there's a little more information than what I posted last night about diabetic alert training and how we start odor imprinting on puppies. This will work on any breed and any odor when you're doing detection work. When you're doing tracking and you're looking for the dog to trail something, it's a little bit different of an imprint process, how I start those dogs out. But for detection work, when we're sending a dog into a room to look for something, like let's say we're training the dog to find explosives, or we're training the dog to find human remains, any of those kind of things, we start out with the same imprinting that we do with diabetic alert dogs. And it's your good girl. So anyways, this works on any odor, any breed of dog. Just the imprinting may take longer on some breeds, and what I was starting to say earlier is what I found with like some of my German Shepherds and breeds like that have come through the program, is that they will alert, and it's kind of 50-50. Some of them pick it up and they're good at it and they're great. I even had a healer mix that did fantastic for his owner on diabetic alert, but about 50% of the time with the herding breed dogs that people bring in for diabetic alert is I'll find that they will check you if you ask them to, but they're not so dedicated to odor that they're like, oh, I'm gonna, be asleep halfway across the room and wake up from a dead sleep because your sugar went low. And so that's what this one should do as she gets older. We should see that start to kind of progress. So anyways, there's a little tidbit. You guys have a good day.